Welcome back to the grind. In this video, we are going to talk about Hauhazine versus LockJaw and how to help you decide which one to choose. I am going to prepare you ahead of time and tell you that this video will not tell you exactly which one is better, because I do feel like both of them are great choices, and I feel like this is probably the first season in a long time, or maybe there's been a couple spread out through the past couple years where both mythics are actually very viable options. They hit a great balance where both of them are viable, but neither of them is necessarily overpowered, and both of them have the potential to be stronger with extra practice and skill. So while I discuss the pros and cons of each, I'm going to let these video clips play in the background. And if you want to see the full video with me commentating and describing everything that's going on, there will be a link in the description. It's my side-by-side Mythic Comparison video. There will also be links in the description to my how to fly each of these dragon videos, because those give more details on how to maximize potential and which players might benefit from which dragons. My goal from all of these videos is to help you decide which dragon might be a better fit for you, rather than tell you which one is the better choice. Now, with all things considered and all things equal, if you equally like hunters and warriors and you just can't decide between the two of these, then I would say Hauhazine is slightly more reliable against defenders because he has more reliable ways to avoid interaction with damage and super shots. I would say that both of them have fairly good usability with average skill level, and that Hauhazine might be a little easier to fly in order to get better results, whereas LockJaw might require a little extra skill with perfect timing, as you may see in some of my LockJaw videos, specifically my How to Fly LockJaw video. One of LockJaw's major weaknesses is long-range towers like the Crystal Howitzer, because it can hit you from a far enough range before you're able to freeze the tower. So you have to make sure you have a shield ready to activate. Another weakness is if you run out of rage, then you basically are a sitting duck. But he has good ways to avoid rage drain unless they have a long range mage that you're not able to freeze in time. But I never really had much issues with being mage drained. So the important thing is to have a freeze available for mages, as well as always prioritizing the blue spell to regain your rage. And some players find that they have a lot of benefit from a high rage regeneration, either Dragon Rider or runes. Now for Hauhazine, I didn't find that I needed a whole lot of additional rage, but you do have to return to your waypoint quite often. Now, one thing to consider is that these video clips where I'm comparing the two of them side by side was when Hauhazine did not have his buff. Now he is a little bit easier to succeed with. He flies a little bit faster and does more damage, so he can complete runs faster as well as easier. And I did have the pleasure of flying him at max tier as part of the gameplay faction, and he was much easier to complete max tier bases with, of course, after the changes, and he could do it in a reasonable speed as well. So I think those were positive changes, and I think that alleviated a lot of concerns about him being useful at max tier, especially for Atlas runs, which I think now he'll be a little bit more useful for, and he should be able to clear higher tier bases even with defenders in a reasonable speed in Atlas. One thing to keep in mind about Hauhazine is I was never able to fully set up a long middle island at a tier that I was unable to destroy a single tower. Now, if you brought in an extra equipped spell that would maybe like an entrap or a death gaze, if you're able to destroy the towers with death gaze, then you might be able to limit the number of towers on the long island enough that you would be able to apply stasis to every single one of them. So that is a potential for a setup dragon. Oh, this clip in here with Morak was just to show how easy it was to complete this base defended with Morak. Only took a couple scratches. Just a little shout out to my favorite dragon, Morak. But anyways, back to Hauhazine. So he doesn't really work perfectly as a setup dragon, but there is some use there for him. The main thing to keep in mind is that Hauhazine relies completely on his ammo to destroy towers, so you really want runes that increase dragon attack damage as well as give additional ammo, because that makes a huge difference for Hauhazine. And you can have dragon riders that have additional ammo and runes that have additional ammo, but they are pretty rare. So that is something I would invest in for Hauhazine to fully unlock his potential. Now with LockJaw, LockJaw is one of the warriors that I find does very well with getting enough attack damage, because he has so many ways to boost his damage. One is one of his shield spells. When completing, it blows up and deals damage to towers. So you can chain that on and time it right after you freeze towers coming around a corner and get initial extra burst of damage, as well as applying the increased breath damage spell, so that you can burn through towers very quickly. So in my opinion, LockJaw requires a lot more timing as well as a lot more button mashing. He has a lot more activity going on when flying him from my experience, but that might be a little bit biased because I'm used to flying hunters, and so it doesn't take me as long to understand and get down the spell rotation. But with Hauhazine, I felt like it wasn't as much coordination of spells, more so the timing of when to use them, to blink certain attacks, as well as a lot of just kind of waiting for the spells to either become off cooldown or before your waypoint expires to return to it to maximize the amount of rage and ammo you'll regenerate. And as with all hunters, especially for Hauhazine, because he relies on his ammo to destroy towers, you want to wait till you have half a bar or a full bar of ammo and then quickly burst down a tower one by one so you can be sure to get through them. These next clips is a short base, but it's the strongest base that I ever completed with both these dragons, and you'll see that both of them are able to get through it fairly reasonably. Now it is undefended, so that is something to keep in mind, but these towers are like 3 tiers or so above what they would be expected to destroy. Another thing with LockJaw or warriors in general is you can hit 2 towers just like you can with hunters, as you could see in that little clip there. So that's something to work on and practice, especially for warriors, because they typically struggle to deal damage. So if you can take out 2 with 1 burst of damage, then that would be ideal. Now, if I had to choose one between the 2 of these, I would pick Hauhazine, but that is because I love hunters and I enjoy hunters a lot more. And because of that, I have a lot more runes and glyphs and riders that I focus on for hunters. That being said, LockJaw is one of the most enticing warriors that I've seen in the game so far. Now, I haven't flown all the previous warriors. There are some other ones that have looked interesting too, but to me, LockJaw takes the cake on that one as being the most interesting one, because it has a lot to manage and a lot of skill that you can put into it to make him fly better. And when I had the opportunity to fly him as part of the creators faction, I really enjoyed flying him so much that it took me a while to really commit to Hauhazine because I really wanted LockJaw. The other benefit to LockJaw is eventually you can put him on a perch and get that mythic boost, which is something that is great. He's like a permanent mythic warrior for your perch until you get past that tier. But because I had so much fun flying LockJaw, and I've heard a lot of other players talking some great things about LockJaw when they got him, I decided that I wanted to make a big push to get both mythics this season. So I will be getting LockJaw as well in the near future, and we'll hopefully be making some more gameplay for both of them. So I unfortunately cannot tell you which dragon is the best, because I think they're both exceptionally good dragons, which is good because that means that you can't go wrong with your choice. As long as you have the right runes, riders, and you invest in them and learn to fly them well, which you can use my how to fly videos for some tips and tricks, then I believe you will enjoy the dragon and succeed with the dragon. So I'm sorry I wasn't able to commit to one being the best one, but I hope this video was helpful to help you decide which one to choose if you were on the fence, if you weren't sure if you were making the right decision. But also make sure to see the videos in the description that go through a side-by-side comparison in detail, as well as going through how to fly each one in particular, so you can see which one might fit your play style better. I will be hopefully soon making some gameplay with the updated Hauhazine after I get him to max level, hopefully within the next week. And let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on the Mythics, which one you got or which one you're planning to get. And if you have some awesome gameplay, feel free to send it to me online so I can use it for a featured flyer video. As always, good luck, and I'll see you in the next video.